战东长长，但是内东长长，结束了东长长。表面下的表面不是高夜里偏，会在路上，你娘高喊起，地主家里的战队变远了。赤土里连你骨头比东长长东长，对文吃无有呀没有表演三路人。选进路，让你水路，突然内雾，快来在古夜唱东唱。战东长长，但是内东长长，结束了东长长。表面下的表面不是绕夜里偏，会在路上，你娘高喊的，地主家里的战队变远了。赤土里连你骨头比东长长东长，对文吃无有呀没有表演三路人。选进路，让你水路，突然内雾，本来在古夜唱东唱。
嘿嘿内马，嘿嘿内马，内马也干不了啊，只是阿贵。嘿嘿内马，嘿嘿内马，给那了树木啊来高山毛龟。嘿嘿内马，嘿嘿内马，内马也干不了啊，只是阿贵。嘿嘿内马，嘿嘿内马，给那了树木啊来高山毛龟。内马里那个真老高，第一能那个真老松。内马里那个真老高，第一能那个真老松。变把你欧贵，内马马拉，我变你欧贵。 呀拉了树木我来嘎扎毛龟，嘿嘿女妈，嘿嘿女妈，女妈也嘎毛里啊吃死呀龟，嘿嘿。
Speaking at the state capitol on the environmental impact on the coup, which proved to be a very constructive experience. Today, I'd like to welcome you to the second generation Burman American Empowering Burmese Community event, the very first event of this nature in Burmese American history. I'd like to now invite Ms. Sweetly, the journalist of Myanmar Gazette, to speak on the event.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Susie. I'm the lead journalist of Myanmar Gazette, the first and the only Burmese newspaper all in the United States. Today is a very special day for our Southern California Burmese community because our new generation, we bring the voices of them to the community, and this is the very first time for our community history. All of the panelists, our new generation, they have been actively and consistently participating and serving our community since they were little kids. Now, they have grown up to the high school students and some are going to some became the college students. And it is now their time for serving the community, empower the community. They are our future, they are our hope, and they are our true power to lead the community to move forward better. Today's event is organized by Myanmar Gazette and California State Library Stop the Hate program, and we are so grateful to California State Library to make it happen. We have our special guest, Mr. Desmond Dan, who is the founder of Burman Food Group as well as the Future Superstar charitable non-profit organization. Future Superstar gives scholarships to students in San Francisco Bay Area every year. So thank you so much, Mr. Desmond Dan, for your precious time to join us today. We have our special guest, Monterey Park Mayor Thomas Roon, who is the first elected officer of our Burmese heritage in the United States history. He makes history and he inspires the dreams of our future generation. Thank you, Mr. Thomas Roon, for your precious time to join us. Today this April is a very special month for our Burmese community because April is our Burmese New Year. We are so glad that we all get together here today all together. So we already have Burmese food after the event for our audience, and then our new generation speaker panelists, they are more than happy to receive your feedback, and they are more than happy to answer your questions. There is a question and answer sessions after each panel. So I hope everyone will be, I hope this event will be meaningful for everybody, for the community, and it will bring a lot of positive things to our community. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to invite the Mayor of Monterey Park, Mr. Thomas Wong. He will present the city's new development vision as well as lead the discussion on the future of the Burmese community in America. We are honored and more than happy to receive his leadership at this event, and it means a lot to our community. Thank you, Mayor Thomas Wong.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today, and thank you to the Myanmar Gazette and the organizers today for putting this event together and bringing it here to the city of Monterey Park. We have a vibrant Burmese American, Burmese Chinese community in Monterey Park and the San Gabriel Valley and in Los Angeles, and that's noted by the growth in Burmese restaurants that are continuing to proliferate throughout Southern California and Los Angeles and in Northern California. And it's great to see that Burmese culture continues to be accepted and is not just assimilating, but becoming a part of the mosaic of the culture, of American culture, here in San Gabriel Valley, in Los Angeles, and in California. And that's a testament to, one, the growing Burmese American community and the diaspora that's here in California, but also that there is growing attention to what's what Burmese culture is, and also what's going on and continues to go on in Myanmar and Burma overseas with our family and friends that continue to have to work through tremendous challenges and trouble with what's going on with the military and everything going on. But proud to be here today to join with next generation Burmese youth. As I think was mentioned, the first, as far as we know, the first Burmese American elected to office in the United States. Proud to have that heritage and to kind of carry that mantle, but know that, and I do not want to be the last one elected, and I know that there's so much talent among young people and others in our community, and the question about how do we continue to support and cultivate that talent and those desires to contribute to our community, not just in the public sector, but in the private sector as well, to make sure that the Burmese American community is fully integrated into American culture and the American community, and that Burmese culture and Burmese people and the Burmese community have a lot to contribute to our community. And my hope is to help lead some of that, but with the help of many of the young people who have great ideas, a lot of energy, and our elders who have been contributing for many, many years and generations as well to help get us to this point. There's a long way to go still, but I'm proud to be here in Monterey Park as the mayor. Sworn in just a little over a month ago, but been on the city council for a little over a year and a half, or almost a year and a half. And proud to be serving in this capacity in the city to help to shape what the future of our community is going to be. And what's driven me has been the ability and the excitement of being able to shape what our future community is going to look like, both physically, but also from a social and economic perspective, making sure that our community, Monterey Park, and the wider region continues to be one that's welcoming of immigrants, and including Burmese Americans, Burmese immigrants, and that people are able to find, and families are able to find opportunity here in Monterey Park and in the region, and making sure that that promise continues to live long into the future. And so that's what's driven our agenda, my agenda, and my priorities at the city here in Monterey Park and in the region, making sure that basic infrastructure needs are met, but also making sure that we're engaging the community and community leaders and young people as well, and creating that vision and casting a vision for what that future should be, one that's filled with high quality education, but also high quality facilities and infrastructure like parks, park spaces, and open spaces for our community, a thriving small business community that helps contribute to the economic vitality of our region and our community, including Burmese restaurants and Burmese businesses, and what role asking and making sure that the city has a critical role to play in making sure these businesses and these promises are met for our community. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be so proud of my Burmese heritage, and happy to be here to help organize this event. Hope that this will be, I know this is the second, but I know that there will be many more to come, and please count me in as a partner and as a friend in the years to come as we continue to build community, a stronger community, a more vibrant community into the future. I know a few folks had some questions. I'm happy to take any questions that folks might have. If you have any, or if this is for a different part of the program, I'm happy to stick around. I would love to stay here for a little while to hang out and get to know each of you a little bit better as well. But thank you so much for inviting me, for having me, and for hosting this event. These kind of events are so critical and important to gather the community, to bring everyone together, and to help to highlight some of the challenges our community faces, but also the opportunities that our community has to uplift each other and to uplift our entire community, and to make sure that we're empowered to make decisions for ourselves and to shape our own future. So I'll leave it at that and open it up to any questions folks might have. I don't know if Ronald has. Oh, so that'll be later. I'll be sticking around, happy to chat a little bit on the side, and looking forward to an exciting program the rest of today. Thanks so much.
I'd like to invite once again Ms. Sui Sui to welcome the community leaders.
Again, I would like to introduce our community leaders to the audience. The first, Mr. Desmond Dan from San Francisco Bay Area, the founder of Burman Food Group, as well as the Future Superstar nonprofit organization. And then second, our great leader, community leader, Mr. Phyllis Zotogor, the chairman of Southern California Burmese Association. And then Miss Lena E, the vice president of Southern California Burmese Association. And then Mr. Anton, the president of Southern California Burman Chinese Association. And Dr. Tan Sao Lin, the president of BAMA Burmese American Medical Association. And the president of Share Culture and Literature Society Organization, Mr. Sai Tui Ma, as well as he is the religious leader, Reverend, our Honorable Reverend, and then our next religious leader, and the Venerable Upinya Tika Lingara, the part of Goya Monastery in Laponti. And then we have our great supporter of our community, Miss Sandra West. Who is the reader and support our community events. And thank you so much. The program will be go ahead by Mitani. True leader and chairman of Business Association, Burmese American Science and Engineering Association, Chairman Mr. Tinwe.
Moderator of this event, Mr. Ronald Cow, and announce the start to this panel discussion.
Hi everyone, I'm very honored to be here. Like Nathan introduced, my name is Ronald Cow. I'll be the moderator for today, also a first generation Burmese American here in Southern California. So very happy to see this youth group. Many of these individuals, I got to see them when they were very little, performing on stage and dancing and showing the culture, and I'm very honored to now show or them kind of grow and kind of talk about very serious topics that they feel very passionate about. So at this time, the subject matter that we're going to be covering will be bridging the gap between the generations, substance abuse and prevention, and possible solutions to bullying and cyberbullying, as well as how to bring peace and harmony within the community and the importance of education. So I'll be going ahead and moderating this event, and at this time, we'll be starting off our talks with filling the gap between the old and new generation. So showing how the new generation and the old generation can kind of bridge that gap. So for the following individuals and panelists, I would like for everyone to give them a big round of applause. Can I have Kathy, Nora, and Kai please come up to the stage, please? All right, and our first speaker today will be Kathy. Kathy, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Arfa-Tway. I am currently a senior at Hawthorne Math and Science Academy, and I'm very excited to be a guest on today's panel. So I will be discussing how to mend the gap between the older and the newer generations. This gap is not a foreign concept. In fact, it is a common phenomenon between many communities, not just our community, and it's parents not being able to relate to their kids and kids not being able to relate to their parents. It is not defined by age, but rather upbringing, perspective, and values. And this gap, in my opinion, is very drastic within the Burmese community. Personally speaking, my parents and I often get into arguments about minor issues because we're not able to see eye to eye. And our parents hold on to traditions and values from back home while we assimilate into the American culture, causing this conflict. On top of that, SoCal and LA in general are very diverse in culture. The newer generations are exposed to many different types of norms that might conflict with the older generations. Yet, within this gap, a potential growth of understanding can arise. A vast amount of knowledge our elders and parents should be acknowledged. Like I said, I'm a high school senior entering my college career, and I'm about to start a new chapter in my life. Our parents have gone through many obstacles, especially with the drastic conditions in Myanmar. My parents are Rohingya, and they have faced a vast amount of discrimination and violence in their own home country. And because of this, their traditions are held closer to their hearts, seeking to keep our dying culture alive. It is not only my family that has gone through violence and troubles, but the Burmese community as a whole. Our suffering family back home due to the Civil War and violence erupting in our country that seems to be never ending. As the younger generation, we should seek the older generation's advice and hear their stories because they face challenges and gain valuable knowledge throughout their years. The Burmese community needs to keep culture alive within each other even if we can't do it back home. As the older generation benefits us, we should also provide aid to them as well. Our world is rapidly changing with new technologies such as AI, self-driving cars, and the rise of augmented reality. And it can be hard for our older generations to keep up, and it is our duty as the younger generation to guide them through the new as they guide us from the past. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nora Mung. I'm a sophomore at Upland High School, and I will also be talking about this issue of bridging the gap between the old generation and the new generation. And what Kathy said, I completely agree with. One of the main issues within our community is that the older generations do hold an extraneous or an immediate value to our old traditions and our values, which is super important, and that the issue arises when the new generation assimilates into the US culture and loses part of what we really stand for and our inner values and culture. And a specific issue that I want to talk about today is the idea of language within our communities. Language is one of the greatest medium that we have to communicate with one another and bridge really the gap between not just people, but in generations. And what I've seen is that, especially as a second-gen Burmese American, I have started to lose not only pieces of my culture, but also, most importantly, my language. And language is how I connect with my mom, my dad, my family, and my community members. For example, just to communicate to my mom that I wanted to be and speak at this event, I had to go through my sister, and she had to communicate because she had better Burmese than me. And not only that, but at different parties when I go there, different aunties and uncles will come up to me and start
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kai Tamsin Boer, and I'm a second-generation Burmese American and a sophomore at Granada Hills High School. I am happy and honored to speak on this panel discussion today. I wanted to take this opportunity to speak on the gaping distance between the old generations and the new generations, and how we should mend these problems between these two different age groups together. Growing up in a household with immigrant parents myself, I've faced and witnessed the first-hand challenges they've seen and held. They bring a unique sense of values, traditions, and aspirations, which can sometimes clash with the values of what their children believe in, especially if those children grew up in a different cultural context. For instance, my dad absolutely hates it when I buy boba because it's $6 to $7 and he's saying, why should we spend money on milk, tea, ice, and tapioca pearls? He stares at me with sheer horror and disbelief as if I've led my whole family to bankrupt because of my crippling boba depression. Let's face it, our parents are the face. Let's face it, our parents are the guardians of tradition. They hold what's most sacred and true to them, including taking off your shoes in the house or not buying $7 boba. They've got recipes passed down through generations and superstitions that make us raise an eyebrow. My point being, the growing gap between the older generations and the newer ones takes away from subjects such as cultural preservation. Needless to say, I try my best to be involved with my fellow Burmese community as I give up time in my free time to dance in front of Burmese events, and I tag along with my parents whenever they're delivering their newspaper in Monterey Park. Year after year, I see less and less Burmese Americans, the youth, participating and partaking in events, and I see more seniors and older people participating, and that's because of the loss of people from our youth group to participate in these events. Connecting back to my topic, I see less and less Burmese children participating in Burmese events, and I wanted to give a round of an applause to my fellow panelists who are here with me today, Leko Piva and Ate Bashi. I think that the main problem here is that the newer generations aren't motivated to take part in events that aren't as engaging to us. For example, other cultures have something with incentivizing children, like Chinese New Year, where elder people give us youth some money, or Halloween, where we can dress up, go lay out at night, sorry mom and dad, and get candy, or Christmas, where we get gifts and throw away the wrapping paper and just keep the gifts. I'm not saying that we should steal these ideas or bribe children to participate, but I'm saying that we should find more ways to engage our Burmese youth. For instance, Thinjan, the Myanmar New Year Water Festival, which has the most beautiful meaning of washing away the old year and starting off with a new one. The last time we celebrated it was in 2019, and I witnessed the joyous sights of many children spraying water around at each other and eating delicious foods and connecting with one another. However, the political situation in Burma with the coup d'etat, many are opposed to reviving this festival again. However, I say, why should we allow political turmoil to create a divide between generations? Instead, we could make a difference and involve our youth in making cultural celebrations of all, making it inclusive to us youth. Whether it's incorporating modern elements like music or creating more engaging activities, I believe that we should ensure that our cultural events are not just ceremonies of the past, but celebrations of our present and our future. Acknowledge us, allow us, empower us to engage more in Burmese traditions and events. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fan, for that. So obviously we have a lot of topics to talk about and cover. I did want to kind of ask a couple of questions. We'll go ahead and start from the top. Kathy, you had mentioned that there was definitely a generation gap and there is a need for the younger generation to also help the older generation. And for the older generation to, there's a gap between the two, right? You had mentioned AI algorithms and just a lot of technological challenges that are going on. So how do you think the younger generation can help the older generation kind of get up to speed with what's going on? I know things are moving very quickly and you know, we are kind of the persons or the people to kind of help that out, but what are some things that you think could help bridge that gap between the older and the younger generation when it comes to technologies?
Honestly, I got that idea because I went to the Apple store one time and I saw this class. It was like an older, like I don't know what it was called, but it was like a bunch of Apple employees helping like older people, probably like senior citizens. They don't know how to use their phones. They had these like $1,000 phones, but they don't know how to use them, and that kind of sparks like something. You know, I thought of. Especially because my parents don't know how to use their phones. Like a lot of our older generation, like they don't know how to use their phones. And I felt like if the Burmese community came together, because a lot of our parents also don't speak a lot of English too. So if we help them with using our language, you know, communicating with them, then they will be able to keep up with everything. They won't be behind. They won't feel left out.
Yeah, no, great answer to that one. So thank you. So it sounds like a good strategy would be for the younger generation to have a little bit more patience with the older generation as the main individuals to be able to communicate well. So yeah, great talking point there. Which actually brings me to the next question. Nora, you had mentioned that language is a huge either connector or kind of disconnector with generations, right? Not being able to speak the language. What do you think are some things the community can do to help bridge that gap? Whether it's like classes or anything else, what are your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, like Kathy, what you just mentioned as well. I think the younger generations and the older generations having overall just patience to properly communicate our thoughts to each other is super important. For instance, my mom and I often quarrel about small things, but the most frustrating thing is the fact that we genuinely don't know how to talk to one another because there is that language gap. So I think that one of the main things that we need to do as a community is, yes, encourage more patience, but also maybe provide excess sources like language classes and really immersing ourselves in our culture. For instance, my Burmese like shot up when I went to Burma for the first time, and I listened to all the music and I talked to all my cousins. It's being in communities and spaces like that where we focus on talking in Burmese and really incorporating our environment and our country right here. And that is one of the big ways that we can incorporate language to bridge the gap here.
Great answer to that one. Thank you so much, Nora. And kind of moving on to the next question, I know language is really important when it comes to community. Kai, you had mentioned Thinja not being a thing anymore. Breaks my heart as well. It's a very great event for kind of bringing the community together. You also had mentioned that there was a lot of younger generations coming to these events prior to the Thinja kind of stopping completely. So incentive incentivizations with gifts and things like that. What are some of the ways you feel that your generation may have an impact in influencing your peers to come on to participate in more of these events? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think social media plays a big role and messages because all of us don't get an opportunity to see each other because less people, less youth, Burmese Americans are coming to these events. So, for example, all of these panelists here, I communicated with them through messages or social media, and I reached out to them to come and join us here today. So I think social media plays a big role in helping us communicate with one another, and I really think that events like Dingen keep this tradition of being passed down generation by generation alive. So.
Got it. Yeah. Well put, everyone. So thank you for that. So it sounds like, I think it may come on. The main topic points a lot, which is communication. It comes from both sides, obviously, but it sounds like a lot of patience from the younger generation. Also, a lot of influence. So I think that the power really does come from the younger generation of bringing more awareness to these events and convincing their friends to kind of show up and other people to come up to bring more awareness overall. So I want to have everyone give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. The next topic that our panelist group will be talking about is substance abuse and prevention. So can I have the following panelists please come up on stage? Rebecca, Asia, Tiangong, Sandy, and Joyce. Please come up. Right, I think our first panelist to speak will be Rebecca.
Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Liu and I am a junior from Whitney High School. And today I will be discussing the topic of substance abuse. So in terms of substance abuse, I think there are three main terms to really know about. So first we have the actual term of substance abuse, which refers to the excessive usage of psychoactive drugs, which can include things such as alcohol, pain medications, and illegal drugs such as cocaine and opiates. There is also the term of substance use disorder, which refers to the pattern of substance usage that causes problems or distress in life. Finally, there is substance dependence, which refers to when substance usage continues even when problems have come up in a person's life. So why is this all important to know? So first, we have the Red Ribbon Week, which some of you may be familiar with. This is a national celebration at the end of October in which more than 80 million people show the red ribbon in order to show their commitment to a drug-free lifestyle. Early on, even as early as elementary school, we are given education on drugs and the dangers of drug abuse, which is important to have this early education in order to help prevent youth from becoming addicted. Finally, and also in September of last year, I attended this conference titled Elevate Youth California, in which various youths made presentations. And in one of these, there was a topic of knockoff brands of children's foods, which use bright colors and kid-friendly images, similar to how kid-friendly brands use. However, these actually hid the fact that these foods contain substances in it, which is very dangerous because children have very easily malleable brains, and these can cause long-term problems. So I would like to address the risk factors relating to substance use disorder. So first off is genetics. An individual's vulnerability to substances, about 40 to 60% of that comes from their genetics. Mental illnesses can also run in family history, and those with mental illnesses may turn to using substances as a way to cope or as a form of self-medication. The environment is also a factor. Things such as trauma and an adverse childhood experience can cause an individual to be more susceptible to using substances. The environment is one of the more modifiable factors, and early intervention can prevent problems from developing later on in life. Stress is also a factor. It is a known risk factor for mental disorders as well as relapse, and it can cause people to become more impulsive and decrease their behavioral control. Abnormalities in the brain areas. So areas that affect things such as reward, decision making, and emotions can cause people to indulge more in these kinds of substances. So with the topic of substance abuse, I think it's also important to address the factors of withdrawal and relapse. Withdrawal refers to the symptoms after someone reduces their intake of a drug, which can include things such as anxiety, fatigue, and depression. There's also substance relapse, which refers to the return of the usage of the drug after a period of sobriety. So what are some ways to prevent substance use disorder? Well, I guess there's the obvious. Avoiding drugs entirely completely removes the risk. There's also spreading awareness, such as what me and my panelists are doing today, in order to discourage involvement with the drugs. There's also seeking help for those who have mental illnesses, as well as being careful with who you associate yourself with, because things such as peer pressure, as well as in general those who you hang out with, may influence you. Keeping track of your goals, your aspirations, can also give you motivation and a sense of a life purpose, which can also help discourage people from taking drugs because those would only hinder them from reaching those goals. In terms of treatment, there's three main forms. So first would be detoxification, which basically refers to stopping the substance intake, whether gradual or immediate. There's also cognitive or behavioral therapy, which encourages healthier thinking and helps to regulate emotions better. Finally, medication, which can help change a person's brain chemistry and relieve cravings as well as withdrawal symptoms. So, with all this in mind, how does this tie back to the Burmese community? There may be some in the community who are currently dealing with substance abuse. There are some who may be directly affected by it, whether it's through someone you know or perhaps a death that may have been caused by substances. It's important to find support if you need it and help, and to also support those who are dealing with it or know people who are dealing with it. It is important to show compassion and to encourage others to avoid using substances. With all of these combined efforts, I think we can make a better future for us Burmese Americans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for providing that. And the next speaker we have is going to be Asia.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Asia Dezinso Silva. I'm a second-generation Burmese American, and I'm a junior in Cesar Chavez High School. I am honored to talk about substance abuse. Involving in substance abuse is never a good thing to be involved into your life. People do things like this when they are in a bad situation or in depression. They feel like they have nowhere to go or nowhere to go seek help. In their mind, they are only thinking everyone will just push them away instead of helping them, being guidance to lead them to the right direction to help them find their way to resolve their problems before it will get worse. I am happy to know that there are many places now available to the community for this type of situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asia. Thanga, please, you're next speaking.
Hello everybody, my name is Thenga Mao Win. I'm a sophomore at El Segundo High School and I'm honored to be speaking in front of you today. Substance abuse has been an issue for numerous years, specifically due to the addictive nature of the substances. People use substances for various reasons, ranging from wanting to escape reality, copying others around them, or just being curious as to how it feels. However, this is especially dangerous due to the nature of the substances, as just trying it one time will immediately cause your brain to crave more, leading to addiction. To put into perspective, these drugs mainly cause an overload of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter and a hormone that causes our sense of pleasure. This sense of pleasure is a part of the reward system in our brain. So after the feeling wears off, the brain will immediately begin wanting more of what it came from, believing that the substance is something good. Although it would be best to get companies to stop production of these drugs, that is highly unlikely. Therefore, our best chance of protecting our future lies in our hands. To prevent our youth and future generations from going down the path of drug abuse, We must foremost thoroughly educate them on the dangers of these drugs. And if we do so, the percentage of individuals who abuse substances will without a doubt go down exponentially. Additionally, as Rebecca mentioned, it is crucial as a parent that you monitor who your children are hanging out with, as peer pressure is very real, and as everyone knows, you are who you hang out with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next we have Sandy.
Hello everyone, my name is Sandy Tway. I'm a freshman at HMC, and I want to talk about why teenagers feel the need to take drugs and why it starts. Many teens get into substance abuse because of peer pressure or wanting to fit in with their peers to avoid feeling left out. When friends encourage drug use, teens may feel pressure to join in to maintain social status and feel accepted. Teens want to fit in and be accepted because they want to avoid the fear of being excluded or left out. Curiosity also plays a big role in this too. Teenagers are naturally curious, so when drugs are often portrayed in movies, music, and social media, it glamorizes it or normalizes drug use. This curiosity can lead teens to experiment with drugs to see what it's like to be intoxicated. Drugs are used as coping mechanisms for anxiety, depression, and stress, and other mental health issues. The feeling of euphoria and intense relaxation can numb or black out their feelings of stress. But relying on drugs to cope with mental illness is very severely unhealthy and will lead to addiction. Having positive peer influences who prioritize healthy behavior, positive activities is important in veering teens away from substance abuse. Having friends that will provide support, guidance, and encourage you to make wise decisions, and by being surrounded by people who discourage drug use will make teens more likely to resist negative influences and make better choices for their well-being. Getting positive reinforcement and recognition from family support is very important too. Family members should encourage open communication between parents and teens about substance abuse, setting clear expectations and boundaries, and having trust in their parents will make it hard to break their trust by thinking about doing drugs. Mental health support services, counseling, therapy, and support groups addressing mental health issues and providing coping strategies can reduce the likelihood of substance abuse and promote healthier alternative for managing stress and emotions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And finally, we have Joyce.
Hi, my name is Joyce Lapai, and I'm in 6th grade from Urbita Elementary School. Today I'll be talking about substance abuse and how teens usually get it. How to prevent it will be challenging because they are usually just there, and it will be hard to take them away from them because they're already going to be addicted. Instead of punishing them, try to tell them how bad they can be, and because that can influence them more to do it. And at least we can get intervention groups and awareness about the different types of drugs and what it can do to you. Middle school kids will be like, oh, drugs are cool, smoking is cool, when they should have more intervention groups teaching about how different drugs can be badly and they can occur to the body and how it can influence them to do bad stuff. The most likely we can do is that we can help them out, or we can, for the kids who are already addicted to them, we could reach out to different types of people who went to the same issue with their kids, and we can also have more funding and intervention groups, because usually at school we would have guest presentators or presentations about how the different types of drugs that we have, and that I think we should have more of those so kids can learn about the drugs and what it can do to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know a lot of the panelists here had chatted quite a bit about peer pressure, acceptance, and traumatic events and how individuals can fall into that. We're just going to ask one question or a couple questions, or I have a couple questions for the panel. Open mic, whoever wants to go ahead and answer this. I know a lot of you talked about the dangers of it and it being something where kids usually or youth usually like to try it because it's something they're told not to do for curiosity purposes. What do you think about the current acceptance of doing that, or like the ease of finding help when you're kind of in that event? Do you think it's easy, or do you feel comfortable chatting with an adult if you hear someone or know someone that is dealing with something or dealing with substance abuse? Anyone's open to kind of ask, like, do you feel like it's right now, is there safe places in place right now for you to talk about if someone you know is dealing with that? Do you feel safe talking to an adult about that, is I guess the question.
Yeah, that's okay. I think there are like hotlines that you can contact to like in order to talk to someone, and I think you can also like do this like anonymously as well, which may be able to encourage others to like reach out more. There's also like trustworthy adults such as school counselors who may be able to direct students to like other resources which can help with whatever they're going through or with like other people who are dealing with it.
Got it. Yeah, so that's a great answer to that one there. So from my understanding, it sounds like there are resources available. Go ahead now.
Parents should have like a safe environment for their kids to feel comfortable to speak about like their experience with drug abuse, and like the kids should be comfortable speaking to the parents. They should provide like a safe environment, and they should make them feel welcome, and like don't make it like a punishing thing.
Of course. Yeah, so that's great point there. So for the parents and the next generation, it sounds like this is a very serious issue. It's an issue that a lot of parents fear for their kids to have. And a lot of times the youth feel not as an open line of communication or a safe spot to talk about it with their parents. So just a food for thought for the individuals going through that. It's acceptance. You know, if you fall, it's okay. But make sure that the parents are also providing a safe space where there's no judgment. And the main solution is just to kind of help individuals get out of that kind of a spiraling, rabbit hole, so to speak. So I just want to thank all of our panelists one more time for talking about a very serious issue there. So thank you, everyone. The next topic we'll be talking about will be solutions to cyberbullying and school bullying as well. So the next panelist, Minrama, Asia, Kathy, and Sandy, you guys can say. So everyone else, please change. So okay, big up your hands for our new panelists coming up. All right, first up we have Minrama.
My name is Minrama, and I'm a junior at Gabrielino High School, and I'm going to be starting our discussion about cyberbullying and bullying. So first off, I'd like to offer my perspective on cyberbullying in regards to cyberbullying, and share some observations from my personal life and some observations I've seen from my community and from other communities. And keep in mind that my example will not be tied into my environment directly, but it also applies to many different environments also. So to start off, I'm going to be talking about a relation as a friend I've had with a friend. So I've known him for nearly 8 years, and I met him at elementary. So this shows that I have a very deep connection with him, and I have a very good understanding of this person. And this person, I won't name drop him, but he had difficulties with cyberbullying at school, and he confided in me with this situation because we had a very deep connection. And due to this, he talked to me about how this was in his Spanish class, and before he felt really safe in his Spanish class, he enjoyed his teachers, he enjoyed his classmates, but through this experience, he talked to me about how he felt that he couldn't really feel safe because he was worried that people would take pictures of him and take videos and spread this misinformation on the internet. And usually this person, he has a very good temperament and he's not very expressive of his emotions. So he doesn't really talk about how he feels and he doesn't really stress about anything because he's a student that's very focused on his education and his school. So when he confided in me about this situation, I felt deeply worried because of how this isn't how he usually acts. So how this happened was that on an Instagram account, there was a very disparaging image of him and there was a very hurtful message that accompanied this. And he felt that this was a really negative thing and he didn't really want this to be on the internet. And as we talked about this with him, it made me unable to comprehend how much of an impact cyberbullying can have on other people, especially because in his situation, it was a very minor case, it was a singular post and it wasn't as bad as others. And I wonder how people that are actually having to face more negative consequences are able to deal with this situation and able to solve their problems. So regarding to cyberbullying, many important cases are attacks on their physical appearance, mentality, and peer pressure. And it's very essential to recognize that cyberbullying isn't confined to one specific group. Like in my example, this person is not a second generation Burmese American, or he's not Burmese at all. And it could really hurt many people from many different groups and environments. Regardless of that, it underscores the broader issue and reflecting on why incidents like these occur, I think it's because of the minimal consequences that cyberbullying can have. Because it's incredibly easy to anonymously post something on the internet and the only real thing you need is internet access, technology like a device such as a phone and laptop, which I know a lot of students have, and just some time because it's incredibly easy. Which I know internet access is really important for this case. While we cannot control the actions that those who choose to harm others may do, we can try to minimize the impacts that it has in our lives and try to just continue with our lives and focus on our own well-being and future. By focusing on resilience and maintaining healthy exposure to social media, we can help mitigate the effects of cyberbullying. Thank you.
To kind of add on to that, it sounds like there's the access to cyberbullying is pretty prevalent and everyone nowadays has that ability with Instagram and social media. So maybe just a message to the youth here and just anyone who ever watched this that it may take a quick second and you may think that it's something easy for you to do, but the implications of what you post is very important. It has very long-lasting effects. So just think very carefully before posting anything else. I just wanted to kind of add on to that message. So thank you for bringing that awareness, Rama. The next person we're going to be speaking is going to be Asia. So Asia, please come on.
Hello, it's me again, Asia. I will be talking about school bullying. Talk to your kids about what is bullying in school. Explain to them it is okay to tell your school teachers and staff if you see anyone being bullied or you're being bullied. It is not ever right to be bullied by anyone in school or anyone in your life. Everyone has the right to respect who they are without being scared by bullying or by being made fun of. I was in this type of situation in my old school, high school. I was afraid to be myself because I'm half Asian and half Mexican, and I was always being picked on. I was always getting into fights. I wanted to be myself, but I was so scared to be myself. And I never really told people who I really was because I was so ashamed of who I was, because I was always getting into fights just because of who I am. And I realized that people do this because they have something going on in their home or in their personal self, and they like to put that onto others and pick on other people. Because why do people bully other people? why does that have to happen? Everybody has feelings. We're all people in this generation. Why don't we, how do I explain it? Yeah. Why do people get picked on? Why do people get picked on? What's the whole reason? Like, if people are having trouble, you could at least talk to someone or seek help. Why do people have to be bullying other people? What is the reason for that? Why does it have to happen? And this 12-year-old girl I used to be friends with, she got so bullied. She was in the restroom, and these girls that were bullying her for so long, they told her to come out of the stall, and she wouldn't. And then she came out of the stall, and she basically got punked around by these teenagers, and they pushed her around all over the stalls and everything, and they pushed her against the wall, which is cement. And basically the TA came, and basically they called the hospital. They came, they took her to the hospital, and basically she had brain damage, and so much bad stuff happened to her because of these teenage girls attacking her. And she was a quiet student. She was never doing anything wrong. And basically when she arrived to the hospital, she passed away. So I want everybody to come together as a community to help people for school bullying and to talk about their situation, about what's happening. Thank you.
Very important topic to talk about there, Asia. Thank you for bringing awareness to that. We're going to go ahead and bring on our next speaker here, and that's going to be Kathy.
Hello again, everybody. So I would like to talk about an issue that plagues our society, which is bullying and cyberbullying. I feel, obviously our two previous speakers talked about bullying and the effects of how it affects their mental health. But I also feel that bullied students are often masking their discomfort. They don't really tell anyone. They find it hard to speak to people. I mean, it's easy for us to say, oh, you could reach out for help, you could do this, you could do that. But to them, there's nothing wrong. They have I've never been bullied, but I have insecurities, and I can imagine what it's like for someone that's being bullied, that has insecurities, that's being pushed down on them even more. They have this inferiority complex that makes them feel like they don't need to tell anyone, that maybe it's just the way they are, but it's not true. And I'm gonna go a little off track here. It's really random. Sometimes on YouTube I get into deep rabbit holes about random stuff. Like a week ago, I got into the rabbit hole of phone scamming, and it doesn't really have to do with bullying, but I'm gonna tie that in later. Basically, we all have phone scammers. We all have people calling us, people telling us oh, you need to pay this, you need to do this, or you need to fix this, and they eventually just take our money. And when I was going down these rabbit holes, it was just a bunch of people that were finding the address and stopping these, getting the federal authorities involved and stuff like that. And the reason why I tie in bullying into this is because I live in LA. I mean, I think a lot of us do, but a lot of our high schools in LA have gang violence and students terrorizing other students. So it's hard for the target that's being bullied, to tell teachers, because that's just gonna become a greater problem. I feel like LA in general needs to implement plans for these students to anonymously report stuff, and then have a support group that finds out what's going on with these bullies, because usually bullies are in a group, they're in a gang, and especially in LA, there's a lot of gang violence, especially where I live too. So that's that, and and as I also noticed, another thing that I wanted to talk about was, I'm going to tie in the Burmese community in here. Because of the Civil War, a lot of new Burmese immigrants and a lot of Burmese youth, people that are my age, people that are everyone's age here, are coming in, and they find it really hard to adjust with the American culture because they grew up there. they know the language, they know the culture. Their view of America is not the same as when they come to America. So that again is also a very, they're very high targets for bullies because they don't know the language. It's very hard for them to assimilate. And I feel like as the Burmese youth, as a second generation Burmese American, not only me, but all of us here, the people that were born in America, we should help these new incoming Burmese youth because we are the bridge that connects America and the Burmese culture together. We're like both of them combined and yeah, we help each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Kathy. So yeah, thank you for sharing different forms of bullying and just overall awareness that needs to be kind of held in, right? So making sure that there is awareness that if things are happening, that there is outreaches and communities out there. So thank you for sharing that. The next person that we will be speaking about it will be Thanga.
Hello again, everyone. From playgrounds to boardrooms, bullying can leave scars that last a lifetime. We must create spaces where kindness reigns and every individual shines in order to effectively create a better society as a whole. Foremost, we must recognize why bullying takes place. People can bully others for various reasons. These include wanting to dominate others because of low self-esteem, feeling angry, frustrated, or jealous, or struggling socially. However, by promoting kindness and respect, we are able to ensure that bullying is not as big of a problem as it might be prior to. Bullying is something experienced by many throughout the world. It is a behavior that thrives in environments where disrespect and aggression is tolerated. Suffering from ridicule, millions of people cannot live their lives as they want and are forced to conform with the norms of society. Consequently, by allowing bullying to take place, we are endangering our future and restricting creative minds, all due to multiple individuals forcing their idea of normal onto another person. However, as I said, by fostering a culture of respect and empathy, we can effectively hope to prevent bullying and create safer, more inclusive learning environments where nobody feels out of place and everyone belongs. However, it is unfortunately the reality that this will probably take a lot of time. So, one of the ways we can hope for immediate results is by finding a way to raise the mental strength of people that are being bullied. Although there is no evident way to do so, it is obvious that that is what we must do as a community to save our future. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Sandy.
Hi. I would like to talk about the realistic possible solutions to school bullying and cyberbullying. In schools, implementing anti-bullying programs, promoting empathy and kindness, and providing counseling and support services can help prevent and address bullying behavior. Having a safe and supportive environment amongst students and the school staff with inclusivity and respect makes bullying less likely to occur. They should implement comprehensive education and awareness campaigns in schools and communities to educate students, parents, and educators about the dangers and consequences of cyberbullying. These campaigns should be providing information on how to recognize cyberbullying, strategies for prevention, and the importance of responsible online behavior. Another solution is to work with the technology companies to develop and implement tools and features to combat cyberbullying on their platforms. Encourage the development of algorithms and filters to detect and remove harmful content, as well as reporting mechanisms for users to flag cyberbullying incidents. Having open communication and trust within a family is important for student victims to comfortably share their trauma. Parents can create a safe and non-judgment environment where their child feels comfortable sharing their experience by listening actively, showing empathy, and offering unconditional support. We can help who is abused or bullied by offering our support. Listening to them without judgment, encouraging them to seek help from a trusted adult or authorities. We can help them navigate through the challenging situations and find the help they need to address the abuse or bullying that they are facing. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for our panelists talking about a very serious topic that if you're not in this generation, I think everyone has had an issue dealing with bullying. I know I've certainly had my fair share, specifically being coming from immigrant parents. It's always very challenging at that point. Question for the panel is, if you see bullying happening, do you feel that it is something that you personally or someone that your peers can kind of stand by and speaking up for those individuals? A lot of the times, and a lot of the topics you guys talked about were bullying happening, right? So do you feel that this is something that you personally can kind of talk to, or do you feel like your friend groups or your peers can kind of stand up together and rise up against that? Like, how do you feel about kind of talking about that or kind of standing against that together as a united front?
So usually me and my friends whenever we see bullying, we do call out the person, but it does depend on who it is.
Sure.
So fortunately for me, I go to a safe school, even though the schools around me are not that safe, I would say. And I'm just saying, I feel like it depends on the person, right? So I live in an area where there's a lot of violence, especially with kids, because of drug abuse and stuff like that. And if you were to tell a trusted individual or like your teachers or something, they can't really do anything because this is a broader issue in LA itself. It's not like a small thing where you could just be like, hey, don't do that. Like it's big. It's big.
Sure, yeah. And it being that big and it being kind of a multi-stem problem, not being able to have like one answer to that. Do you feel that you and your peer groups have had the ability or the strength to kind of, in numbers, talk to bullying or kind of help, like you said, rise up kids who are being bullied and preventing the bullies from continuing on, kind of making it not cool, so to speak, or just kind of calling it out there? Do you feel like, how has that impacted on your side?
So I'm not gonna lie, like if the bully is someone that I'm personally not scared of, but like I just don't want to interact with them, I will go to the victim later, and me and my friends, not only me, will like uplift them and help them with stuff like that, because that's just the right thing to do. I feel like if it's a broader issue like that, you and your little friend group can't really do anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I wanted to kind of change that narrative, because you are right. You might no, totally true. It feels very helpless when you're being bullied at a time too. How do you overcome this? It's very daunting. It's very challenging. As a young individual, you may not feel that you have that, but I would challenge everyone here, specifically because I know the older generation has faced bullying as well. Like it does stay with you, but the numbers and the upliftingness does help. So I would like to encourage everyone here, because I know a lot of you guys have talked about the issues in that, but bullying can be not necessarily stopped. It's always going to happen, but it can be assisted with the majority of people kind of taking a vow to not bully individuals, but also to help individuals as well. So I just want to make that comment, because a lot of you guys have talked about bullying and it being a very serious issue, but a lot of those issues stem from yourselves as well. So think about before posting, make sure you stand up for anyone who is bullying, like you said, calling them out, but also just providing that support for those, because in numbers, bullies don't really, they can't compete with the numbers there. So that was pretty much it. But thank you guys so much for panel and talking about that very important subject. So as of right now, so thank you guys. You guys can go ahead and exit the stage there. They're very, very quick to exit there. So we're going to be changing a little bit of the program just for timing's sakes. I would like to call Mayor Thomas Wong back up to the stage. And I believe a couple of our panelists have some questions for Mayor Thomas Wong. So I think Kai, you had a question for the mayor. Is that correct?
I guess not.
Yeah.
How do you plan on incorporating the youth Burmese generation in activities that may partake in our traditions and cultures.
Well, yeah, you mentioned earlier in one of your responses in your speech some of the festivals that, since the pandemic, we haven't been able to celebrate as much. Would love to welcome that back. I know we hosted some of those events at Marquette Bowl in Alhambra, but serves Monterey Park and in other areas, other sites around here. Would love to work with the community to plan more of those cultural events to celebrate in Monterey Park and in the San Gabriel Valley, and would welcome the youth to help with putting some of those events on. And if there's desire to do that, I would love to partner and see how the city can support a lot of those efforts. I mean, we already do, right? The City of Monterey Park hosts with other partners, Lunar New Year Festival, Cinco de Mayo, and a whole Cherry Blossom Festival, and a lot of other cultural celebrations. It would be great to integrate some Burmese cultural traditions too.
Okay, so my question is, I know that you have a lot of like different identities and like you come from, I believe, two different, like a biracial background, I believe?
Well, my parents are ethnically Chinese. My mom grew up in Taiwan, and my dad grew up in Burma, in Myanmar. And then met in Taiwan and then came here.
Okay, I see. So with all of that culture and background that you have, what is your like, how do you balance all of that culture, and have you seen any like challenges that you have faced, and how have you overcome those like different cultural challenges balancing it?
In terms of balance, I mean, I enjoy both Taiwanese, Chinese, and Burmese food, so all good, and happy that we're going to be eating. It sounds like there's going to be sushi as well today, so get to balance all the different culinary, cultural aspects of the different Asian cultures in the background. But well, one, it kind of helps. It's interesting, right? Coming from a Burmese Chinese background, which I think a few of us do, right? Some of the Lunar New Year and other cultural activities overlap, and there's already integration of some of those cultures. So that's kind of cool. And we, right, from a Burmese Chinese perspective, you still celebrate Lunar New Year, and you do get your red envelopes, so you can tell your parents about that. And make sure they celebrate that too. But it's here in the San Gabriel Valley and in LA, Chinese culture is, in a way, is a little bit ahead of Burmese culture being integrated into kind of the wider celebration of cultures. And so growing up, right, we had a lot of Chinese cultural celebrations here, and it was a regular thing. It's the Burmese cultural celebrations that were, I remember my dad is here, I'll shout him out real quick, he's in the back, taking some pictures. We would go to some of these celebrations, there'd be smaller scale, right, much more neighborhood community in some of the community centers, but not as much of a wider community-wide celebration. And how do we, to one of the first question, how do we help spread, right, understanding of Burmese culture and traditions to a wider audience beyond just the kind of insular Burmese community, just like other Chinese cultural kind of traditions have been spread to non-Chinese kind of folks in Los Angeles. And we'd love to explore more of that and how we do that.
Do you have any ideas for any like early intervention policies or just like programs in general to help like educate and potentially prevent substance abuse?
I think programs like this that involve youth and help to get youth to understand the pitfalls of substance abuse and even mental health, and being able to talk about these things is something that is a very helpful first step and a very powerful first step. And so making sure we have more of these kind of forums to be able to do that. I think it was kind of mentioned in some of the other speeches and answers to the questions, right, there's difficulty in terms of communicating between immigrant generation and kind of second, third generation of immigrants, not just in the Burmese community, but in a lot of cultural communities where that communication is difficult, and that integration into the culture of the existing culture here, American culture, is a difficult thing. And so how do we build better trust between first generation and other generations, and better communication, so that when challenges like this do come up, we actually have safe spaces to have these conversations. but also just bringing community together. Right, often it was mentioned, I think one of the other responses, right, in terms of having community and being able to have positive influences in our immediate community, in our friend network, in our social network, not the social media network, but real physical friendships and real people talking to each other and building these kind of networks that support each other, helping to promote more of that and support more of that through functions like this, right? Bringing people together in real life to talk about things, learn from each other, and to build real relationships and figure out how we can support each other are very helpful early, right? I won't even call them interventions. This is a lot of prevention for getting into trouble in these other ways, right? You tend to fall into those other challenges when you don't have those social supports, both from your family, from your friend network, and other kind of aspects of your life where the community isn't strong and supporting each other.
Thank you.
Sorry. So I haven't talked about it yet because it's near towards the end of the event for my speech, the importance of education. If you did choose the pathway of a higher education, which what do you think its values are, and what do you think that how did that benefit you in your career pathways more so?
Yeah, no, higher education in general, right, is extraordinarily important. And there are different forms that education can come in, right? There is technical and other skills-based education that can lead to very successful careers that we need to encourage more of. I went to get a 4-year degree and a master's degree, so that traditional path is definitely still one that I think is important for many to pursue. And the education, right, whether you're going through skills training or anything else, or a 4-year degree or whatever for higher ed, it's important to be able to have those, right, to learn those specific skills that are being taught in schools. But even more important, I think, now that I've been working for 15 years after school, is learning, right, how to learn and to be open to learning and to these environments of being exposed to ideas that you may not have been exposed to before, being able to dig deeper into those. For me, higher education was eye-opening and helpful, extraordinarily helpful in helping to form my own kind of perceptions on things and my perspectives, and learning about how the world works and how our community works, how people work, how our institutions work. And those are a lot of those things you don't learn right in a textbook by reading something and right, exploring the history as written down, but actually going through the practice of some of those things, having these experiences that go along with learning in the book, but internships and jobs, being able to do that alongside your actual education, right, the book education part of higher ed and education in general is very, very critical, and you get those experiences in a university or college setting where you can marry both practical experience and the theoretical experience. And that's super helpful, and you can get those, right, those are things that in many ways you can only get on a college campus, right, when you have all of those things kind of coming together and the opportunity to be able to pursue that in a very direct way. Hopefully that was not too...
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just thought of this question right now. I wasn't supposed to ask a question, but
it's okay.
because of the Civil War, I mean, it's been getting worse in 2021. Recently, there's been drafting that has occurred, and a lot of kids our age are coming to America to escape the draft, and they come alone. They don't come with parents. And since many of them resent Burma, I feel like they want to assimilate quickly into American culture. And I want to know what we should do to encourage these kids to embrace their Burmese culture.
Well, one, we want to make sure we're continuing to welcome any refugees from Burma, from Myanmar, into the United States, and their efforts. I know some here are involved in helping to make sure that we're providing safe pathways for people who are working to come to the United States or to leave Burma to be able to do so safely. So absolutely want to do that. In terms of making sure that we continue to celebrate Burmese culture, right? There's a difference between the existing Burmese government and Burmese culture, and those are things that we shouldn't, we should be able to separate those ideas, and they're very different. And we may have challenges with and a lot of things wrong with the current existing Burmese government, but that doesn't mean we should turn our back on our heritage and our culture. And so back to how we can come together, both youth and elders and everyone else, to make sure that we are celebrating Burmese culture here in the United States and in Los Angeles, and finding and helping to promote and build up those opportunities to celebrate that culture, so that it is, for those who are coming from Burma and newer coming from Burma, they know that these are things that American culture accepts and that we here still value. And so how do we make sure we're elevating those kind of opportunities?
Thank you so much. And then we also have one more question from Chris.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I saw you at the Chinese New Year party. So I just have a question related to school bullying and cyberbullying. Right, as the panelists discussed previously, the school bullying in America has gotten worse. Marama mentioned that someone he knew suicided, right? Or now someone who, there are a lot of things happening on the Twitters. You could see that there were immigration, especially immigrants, especially minority, with such Chinese Burmese background, such as you. What would your ideas on implementation of programs or bills that would assist in terms of protecting the victims of bullies, especially minority immigrants? And also, how would you help new immigrants in transition into American system, especially in school system?
Yeah, so kind of two questions that I'm hearing there, but on social media, I'm really glad that I didn't have to grow up with social media, at least at the way that it is now, so permeating a lot of culture, right? Growing up, I don't think I had Facebook till I was going into college. So at least in high school and junior high, I don't even know if you guys even care about what Facebook is anymore. Right? It's not even Instagram to a large extent, right? TikTok and all these other things that I have no idea about. But I'm really glad I didn't have to live my life, especially in those formative years in junior high and high school and even college, with my entire life, right, out on the internet and in social media for people to criticize or to weigh in on. And I think we need to find a way to balance that a little better and make sure that there are protections built in with social media and the internet and AI even now emerging. How do we make sure that our mental health and our well-being is protected, and we work those into policies? I don't have the answers. I'm definitely paying attention to this on a personal level because I care and it affects me even as an adult, for people to be on social media and be so vulnerable and in vulnerable positions. How do we make sure that from a public policy standpoint we're cognizant of that and that we're looking for ways to protect people without infringing on free speech and the ability for people to be able to say what is on their mind and freely be able to say so without censorship and things like that. And so we need to find that balance. I think we're out of balance right now, and it leans towards being a harmful environment more than a positive one. But that's not to say that there aren't positive things about being able to access social media for many of us in our communities to be able to connect better. But how do we bring that back in a better balance? On integrating, right, I think the same answer I've given as well. How do we make sure we are celebrating our culture and providing opportunities for community to come together, to celebrate together and to learn from each other, to learn these customs and learn about our heritage, and to support our own community, both here and abroad, and making sure we're better connected. And social media plays, I think, a little bit of a role in that, but we also need to make sure that in a real way we're coming together and providing these opportunities where we're welcoming of each other and connecting with other cultures as well to make sure we're supporting each other. Hopefully that will work. I don't know.
All right, last question over here for this side. I know that the panelists have spoken and we will continue discussions here, but do you have anything that you would like to share with the panelists, encouraging words, how they can continue to be a voice within the community that you seem fit? So just from your guidance, being in the position you are and kind of growing up in that, like what words of encouragement do you have for our panelists in front of us?
Yeah, no, I'm super encouraged and impressed by what I've already heard today. I do need to take off in a little bit for another event, but I appreciate the organizers here today bringing everyone together. Super impressive. Every time I talk to young people, and I love talking to young people, especially because I still feel, it helps me feel like I'm still young. But the idealism and the ideas and the energy from young people is always infectious and is always helps to buoy me. And the reason I got into politics and public policy work is, as a young person, I felt like my perspectives weren't shared by others who were in decision-making roles. And I felt like I and my generation needed to be at the table to help make these decisions and to shape our future for us, because these decisions that are being made now in politics and in government are going to last and have consequences and have real impacts for decades right down the line. And so as young people, I encourage you to be involved. You're already paying attention to a lot of these issues that are of critical importance to not only us as a Burmese American community, but as just a human kind of society. And so super impressed that you're digging deep into this, learning about these issues, and thinking and approaching these things from a critical perspective. And I hope and encourage that you'll continue to do that. Look around, spot problems, spot challenges, and to tackle them head on, and to work with each other on how to tackle those issues head on to make sure that we come to real solutions to some of these really meaty challenges. I need your help as in my own role as a council member mayor, to hear from you and many others from our community. And my hope is to bring more of the community together to address these challenges head on, because by myself, I'm not going to solve anything. It's only when the community comes together and really understand something, what the challenges and what the solution is going to be, that we're going to be successful. And so we need young people, we need our elders, we need everyone to really dig in and to invest in our community. And so I really appreciate that we're coming together like that today, and I look forward to many other opportunities like this to bring the community together, including celebrations of our culture. And it sounds like there's some volunteers, Dr. Zha and others, some next generation leaders that want to bring some of these cultural celebrations back. I look forward to those as well, and let me know how I can partner and support in a lot of that. I do have one question. I'd love to take a picture with all of you before I have to rush out of here. So if that's okay, I'll head up in the front and maybe we can take a picture.
Yeah, actually we can set it out. Why don't we have all the panelists come up on stage so we take a quick picture really quick. All right, thank you, Mayor Thomas Wong, for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Panelists, please join me back on stage. Nora, Christina, and David. And first up to speak today would be Nora.
Okay, hello again, I'm Nora, and today these panelists and I will be talking about the idea of how to bring peace and harmony within our community. Because obviously it's not some not known idea that There are a lot of divides within our community, not just within the Burmese community, but in society in general. And one of the most important ideas is that we need to somehow confront these issues and navigate the challenges posed by the dividing lines and seek to foster peace and harmony within our community, because it's an imperative to allow for the beginning and the future going of our generations. So I think that in this journey towards communal harmony, we need to acknowledge the fact that there are a lot of different challenges. So like I mentioned before, the language barriers and the cultural nuances, and not only that, but the different issues that we talked about today. So generational gaps, cyberbullying, substance abuse, all of these are real issues that we need to acknowledge and support through to encourage peace and harmony within our community. And it's not just that, it's even the smaller things that we think about. I want to bring up this term called intersectionality. It's this idea that every single person in this room has a different intersection of identities that make up who they are. Personally, I am a Muslim Burmese female American. Some people out here might be fathers, teachers, leaders, mentors. And these are all different identities that come together to make who we are as a person. And no matter what, these are the little differences between each and every person here. In this community, in this room, I see so many different intersections of personalities and so many that are similar to one another that foster a deep sense of community within us. And it's important to be able to confront and navigate the different little discrepancies between each and every single one of us so that we can create a great community that is supportive and encouraging for all. And I think that to solve it, we need to really deep dive into really our roots and our heritage. What is Burmese culture? And in my head, the first thing that comes up is the gem. Like, we've talked about this so many times, but like, I know how fun the event is, and my dad always talked about how when we were younger once, all of my cousins and I, I wasn't born yet actually, it was all my other cousins who like really begged my dad to take them to the main road in Burma, and so they all crammed into his car, and right when they were in the middle of it, they all turned down all of the windows so all the water got into the car. But it's like those little moments, right, where we all connect with one another in those little events that really help to mend the gaps. And it's also other traditions like mohinga. For instance, food, I definitely believe, is the universal love language. If you gave me a bowl of shankasa right now, I would love you. Like, please give me shankasa. And basically, it's things like that. Food, tradition, storytelling as well, that is going to really bring peace and harmony within our communities. And it's just little things like that. Again, we need to foster our culture, just as Mayor Thomas Wong has said, just as every single other panelist believes. One of the main things is to have a supportive background and community that can support you through all of your challenges and differentiations and conflicts that arise within your communities. And the best way to do that is to fall back on what is most important, your family and your culture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nora, for sharing that. I agree. I think food is the overall equalizer for a lot of things. I know we're getting kind of hungry as well. So just moving things along here. Christina, why don't you come up and have a conversation?
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Tan. I'm a second generation Burmese American, and I'm from Monrovia High as a senior. Today I'd like to talk about how to bring peace and harmony in our community as well as others. So if you switch on the TV news, open the newspaper, or click on a popular news website, you're bombarded with reports of conflict, violence, and a lack of peace among different groups of people. In today's increasing globalized world, the need for understanding, unity, and peace has never been more crucial. Yet, sadly, the reality often falls short of this ideal. As a second-generation Burmese American, the global conflicts and division, especially those concerning Myanmar and the military coup, weigh heavily on me as it affects my family in numerous ways, as well as many others living in Myanmar, and it has been going on since 2021. But change begins within our own communities. Growing up in a tight-knit Burmese American community, I've witnessed the power of unity in combating hate. From community events, fundraisers, to working with a group of other Burmese Americans with different backgrounds in a musical called A Sunny Day. Reaching many viewers, we've fostered a united community that not only includes Burmese Americans, but others who watch the stories we convey, addressing issues that affect many in Myanmar. But aside from the Burmese community, it should be acknowledged that worldly issues aren't the only thing that need restoration in peace and harmony, as there are many more communities, individuals with different origins and cultures, gender identity, sexual orientation, and more. So how do we as individuals and citizens address this challenge? How can we contribute to a world where peace prevails over conflict? I believe there are key principles we can follow to foster peace within our communities. The first principle is treat others the way you wish to be treated. The Golden Rule embodies empathy, tolerance, and peace. It is a universal concept that transcends cultural and religious boundaries, reminding us to love ourselves and extend that love to others. The second principle is listen to hear what others have to say, not just to speak. Engage in dialogue with an open mind and a genuine willingness to understand others' perspectives. Only through communication and empathy can we build bridges of understanding. Principle number 3, accept differences of opinion. Recognize that we all have different viewpoints and that it's okay. Building compromise and mutual respect is essential for fostering peace and harmony. Principle number 4, accept that identity is fluid as it is complex and can evolve over time. Avoid categorizing people into simplistic stereotypes and recognize that the diversity within each individual. Principle number 5, avoid stereotypes. Get to know people as individuals rather than just judging them based on perceived notions. True understanding and empathy come from genuine connections. Principle number 6, be careful of the language that you use. Language has the power to shape perceptions and attitudes. Choose your words wisely and avoid languages that show off discrimination or hatred. Principle number 7, let go of the past. Learning from mistakes is good, but focus on moving forward for the greater good. Forgiveness and healing are essential for building a peaceful future. Principle number 8, celebrate diversity. Actively engage with people from different backgrounds, religions, and cultures. By learning about and embracing diversity, we can build stronger, more inclusive communities. Peace building and harmony starts with each one of us in this room. By following these principles and fostering understanding, empathy, and unity within our communities and many more, we can work towards a world where peace prevails over conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. And finally, we have David.
Hello everybody, my name is David Sumlut. I am 11-year-old second generation Burmese. I would like to thank Mayor Thomas Wong and Mr. Ronald for letting me have the pleasure of talking about how to bring peace and harmony into community, such as school communities, neighborhood communities, and much more. Me personally, I am in a Burmese Christian church community, and most of the time I forget they're not my family, and they're just people I know. We connect so well, I think I just forget they're not family, and I think we're related or something. And there's so much peace and harmony in that community. I know everybody there, and I feel comfortable around them. So to bring peace, you must have to feel comfortable around. To bring peace, you must have to feel comfortable around your community, like how you would feel comfortable around family and friends. Bringing harmony into community is very hard. You have to put aside differences and bring people together. No matter your race or religion or your gender, everybody is human. And at the end of the day, you must love everybody. Being kind to everybody brings peace to yourself and others. When you are someone people can trust and depend on, there is peace. And when everybody's in a community that can trust and depend on each other, there is harmony. No matter a school community or a neighborhood community, peace and harmony can be found anywhere.
Thank you so much for that, David. So David, I wanted just to kind of follow up a little bit. I think you had a great point of showcasing how you feel that your church group, you've kind of forgotten that they're not really your family just because you feel so well connected, which I think it's great to have. How does that kind of impact, I guess, your day-to-day? Like having people that you can connect with, how well connected do you feel with that group?
I feel like I could trust them and depend on them, and like if I need help, I could ask advice from them, and they're always there for me.
That's great to hear. So it sounds like, yeah, great response to that. It's really, really nice to hear because I know a lot of the different topics that we have talked about stem from a lot of acceptance and community. So I think this is a big message from a lot of the group, the youth here is, making that community. So I did want to ask a question for Nora. You had talked about different groups of people and the challenges in that part of it. What do you think you need from the people in front of you here, other generations? How can we best support your generation and building that community, which overall seems like it's a little bit, it's not as strong as it could be, right? So what can you expect, or what do you expect from us?
I think that's honestly a very hard question because there's not just one specific way that can solve any of this. Like Mayor Thomas Wong said, there is so much discrepancies and an imbalance really in how we balance our culture into like American culture as well. But I believe that one of the best ways that we can maintain this and that I would personally expect from older generations is one, patience, and two, really just giving us the opportunities to cultivate those different environments. So like I've said, like immersing ourselves in our culture is super important. However, me as a 15-year-old, I can't really create events and parties and festivals that everyone can attend to really help everyone immerse ourselves in our culture. So I really hope that the older generation can understand that we really need this connection to our culture and really start to organize these different events, just panels such as these, or just a simple party with a bunch of karaoke. I feel like that will definitely connect me to my own culture and help all of our like second-gen Americans to not only find community with one another, but also just grow as people together.
That's there. Thank you so much. And then question for Christina. You listed a lot of principles and a lot of things that are kind of lacking, or a couple of things that you're looking to kind of increase and bringing that peace and harmony together. What's one thing that you wish to see more of, or one thing you can relate the most of that you think has the biggest impact to bringing a lot of harmony to the community and peace within the community?
I think being patient and open-minded, for like what Nora said, is the most important, because with all these principles we could follow them, but in situations where it is like where you have to, or it's best to like act on these principles, it's best to be open-minded about what other people say, what you say as well, and how you treat them towards whatever situation that's given. I mean, like, there are like numerous like issues, or like, it's not simple. It's not simple to bring peace and harmony. And with like being open-minded with these principles, I feel like will help like many communities as well as like individuals like create and foster more peace and harmony within relationships, or within like their big community, small community, any relationship in general.
Thank you. So it sounds like I said, this issue of bringing harmony among everyone else doesn't necessarily stem from one generation, but it's also, again, a very multi-generational thing where open-mindedness and acceptance, as you said, Christina, is very important. So I know this comes from the top down. We learn from our parents, we learn from our elders. So just having an open mind throughout the different generations is really important so that the future can be better. So I think that's a great point to say. So just one more big round of applause for this panelist. Thank you so much. One of the last topics we'll be talking about is the importance of education, which I know all of the other generation wants to make sure that our youth is very well aware of education and how that can lead to success. So we'll have... And then Kai, you'll go ahead and get us started.
I know we're all eagerly waiting for the moment when the clock strikes 1 so we can enjoy some mouth-watering Burmese cuisine over there at that table. But before we dive into that phase, there's a topic that weighs heavily on my heart, and that topic is education. Especially in a third world country like Burma, wrapped up in the consequences of political turmoil, the state of education is something that can't be overlooked. Really. However, education in Burma is extremely hard to access. Displacement, attacks on youth, and poverty, the lack of resources, these all have disrupted the education for the youth. Despite these challenges, education is a subject that should not be overlooked. Education is not just about knowing what sine over cosine is and taking that to relate in the real world. It's about connecting with others and knowing what you want to be, what you want to serve a purpose to this world. Currently, myself and my friends over there, Christina and May and Mr. Zaltukai, which I don't know, oh, he's over there. We are working on teaching English to displaced persons in Myanmar near the Chinese border, and I believe that learning a new language provides hope and opens up more windows to opportunities. Despite these challenges, education shouldn't be overlooked because it breaks people free from the cycle of poverty, and it allows people to pursue their dreams and increase knowledge about the whole entire world. I think that the best thing about living in America is the many opportunities it brings. I truly believe that hard work and passion pay off. However, education serves as a stepping stone to achieving dreams in America. The American dream, the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they can be, can achieve their dreams and follow what they want to do. No, the American dream is not eating a 3-pound burger from In-N-Out. It's pursuing what you want to do, and it's what you think you can serve to the entire world. So I call upon all of you to trust me that the tests, the finals, the pop quizzes, the long nights of homework, it's all worth it in the end, as it opens up a vast variety of opportunities. Investing in education is investing in the future. And the future of Burma and each child should have the opportunity to grow and thrive. Education comes first. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. And then Christina.
Hello again. Today, this time, I'll be talking about the importance of education. So, from a young age, I've always wondered why our generation finds video games fun compared to learning, why we prefer spending time on a screen rather than writing with a pencil on worksheets for homework, why our parents would lecture us about how we're wasting our time playing video games and could be using that time more wisely. Well, about a week ago, I was at my friend's place trying out Valorant, which is a video game, for the first time after hibernating from games for almost half a decade. With numerous failed attempts, followed by encouraging as well as discouraging comments players would type in the chat box, I now regain the realization as to why we find games fun. Because they're interactive. They promote engagement, stimulate a relentless drive for players, and bring a community of collaboration, similar to what education provides us for students and peers. So then, although it is noted that video games are entertaining, what's in it for our generation in terms of education? What is the value of education? Why is that socially, we can all conceptually agree that education is a definite, fundamental opportunity for our careers and aspirations? Well, education, much like our varied perspectives on video games, is not a one-size-fits-all concept. When we think of the word education, we might correlate it to words such as opportunities, growth, and discipline. Education is often viewed as a pathway to success, a means to secure a stable careers and fulfill our aspirations. But although that is true, its value extends far beyond mere job prospects. As education shapes character, it empowers learners to navigate the complexities of the world, to question controversy, and to contribute to society. Despite these benefits, education can be misunderstood. As a current high school senior who just finished applying to colleges and universities for her upcoming years of education, the average applicant for some of these schools has over-the-top stats, in which I mean letter grades, GPA, class rank, and test scores. With admission being highly competitive than before, we live in a society that more so prioritizes measurable outcomes over holistic development, where standardized test scores are superior to taking the time to learn a concept, and where learning out of the fun of curiosity has taken a backseat to appeal to our futures. Now, I understand that standardized test scores and stats are not the only thing an admission for an applicant is decided. However, it is crucial to acknowledge the significant pressures many of us face when it comes to our current educational journey to a higher level of education. As a second-generation Burmese American, the pressure to excel academically often felt amplified by cultural expectations of achievement and success. Balancing these expectations with the desire to pursue my own passions and interests became troublesome and hard to juggle, one that many of us from immigrant backgrounds are probably familiar with. Amidst these pressures for getting a job, being financially secure, and attaining future goals such as a dream school, it's important to remember the true purpose and values of education. It should not be about taking big exams or securing prestigious universities for fulfilling our dreams or fulfilling our parents' dreams. It's about lifelong learning, resilience, personal growth, and development. Each of us in this room has a different journey. With or without education, we've all had setbacks, mentors, and moments of inspiration. As it is not a one-size-fits-all, higher education isn't and may not always be the perfect path for individuals, which I acknowledge. Inevitably, many variables play into our decision of whether we choose to pursue a continuing path of education, but that doesn't mean we disregard that education is here. We have the power to shape our own future and character if we choose to, by making a difference in the world through the opportunity of education. Education shouldn't only be treated as a destination, and yes, maybe my destination might be to become a cardiologist, and yes, maybe I do have to go through hard, rigorous classes and med school. But while being on that journey, I'm going to start anew with how I approach education, regardless of pressure, using it to build myself into a better being while fulfilling my dreams. Through education, we can make our dreams into a reality, make the character we admire to be into a reality, and create a bright future for ourselves and other generations to come amidst these pressures. Thank you.
Well said over there, Christine. I think you made really great points about education not necessarily being the more traditional route, right, of going through school, four-year university, master's, PhDs in that part, but education definitely is more of a holistic thing, and I think that's something very important to other generations to hear about as well, is that in this day and age, you can pursue successful careers, not pursuing traditional education, but that kind of gives you the holistic view of just being more awareness, right? So that's a very important topic to make here. And then Kai, I just kind of maybe have a question for you specifically. I know you talked about how it's very important for education and that part of it, and how the youth kind of have to stay with it. What other motivational things, or what other things, your fellow panelists might be a little bit younger than you, and have gone through that system. What encouragement would you give them to kind of stay true to that path of studying hard and doing well in school?
Well, I mean, obviously the first one is money, right? But pursuing our dreams comes with the cost of giving up our time and studying for all that. But staying in education is extremely important, as it opens up doors, as I said in my speech before, to so many opportunities. You can meet new people, you can learn about what you want to do, what you want to serve as a purpose in your life, and what you want to bring to others. And I think education does a really good job at teaching you social skills as well. Without education, I probably wouldn't be up here sitting and speaking about education. But yeah, education brings so many opportunities, and I think we shouldn't overlook that.
Well put. And then, Christina, a question for you. Since you talked about the topic of non-traditional education, do you have any stories or any peers that you know, and if it's no, that's fine, of people who've took non-traditional routes that you seem to be successful, and like any anecdotal stories about that?
Yes. some of them are like my friends' parents. So they graduated or they dropped out from high school, but right now they're like really financially secure. They have jobs that they've been dreaming of and they've achieved that. And it really just shows how like even though education is really important, like we probably have a lot of like benefits from it. We definitely have a lot of benefits from it. But there's also like evidence that people without traditional education can also get benefits or similar benefits as well. It doesn't. Most of these like people go through education maybe because of pressures. Some might want to go because of their dreams. There's a lot of things that can. There's a lot of variables that can impact our choices of whether we want a higher education or a non-traditional like education path.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so it sounds like, in kind of, summing everything up totally, the American dream is definitely to make something for yourselves. That's why a lot of our parents, a lot of other generations come here, so they benefit from us, and there are many different ways to attain that goal, education being one of them, but not necessarily being the only one. So thank you, panelists, for speaking. Big round of applause for our last panelist here. So at this time, I would like to call our MC, May Kandi, to announce our next speaker.
I'd like Mr. Desmond Tan, a Burma Food Group CEO. Mr. Desmond Tan has founded a Future Superstars nonprofit organization. Each year, Future Superstars works with local community partners to award San Francisco Bay Area students with financial scholarships regardless of their grade point average. I'd like to now invite Mr. Desmond Tan to give the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. I heard about this event maybe about 4 days ago when I was talking to Gokine about a very different matter. And one thing leading to another, I learned that Mr. Thomas Wong was elected as a first generation Burmese American, which is really, really proud. And I said, you know what, we should make this known. We should put it in your paper and let the whole Burmese community in America be aware of his position. So I'm here to honor him. And my daughter over there helped me, did a little introduction and a statement for Mr. Wong, but I think he left. His dad is still here, right? So, well, anyway, here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed guests, it is with great honor and privilege that I stand before you today to show my tribute to our Mayor-elect Thomas Wong. And as we gather here to celebrate his inauguration into office, we're reminded of the immense responsibilities and challenges of being a leader in our community. Wow, I didn't know you can write this, Maya. One second. So, Mayor-elect Wong and we have roots in Burma, and the first Burmese Americans, we have a big responsibility to inspire others and the future generations. Mayor Wong, the weight of being the first in any position is not an easy burden to bear, but it is through this honor that you have the opportunity to pave the way for a brighter and more unified future for all of us. Your dedication to civil service, serving the people, and your relentless passion for making our community a better place for all are qualities that we admire and respect deeply. As we embark on this new chapter in our society under Mayor-elect Wong's leadership, we rally behind you, support you, and work together toward a shared vision of progress and prosperity for the Monterey Park community and the Burmese community. Thank you, Mayor-elect Wong, for your courage, your hard work, your vision, and your unwavering dedication to the betterment of our community. We are proud to have you as our leader. I would also like to thank the panelists. You know, it's amazing how smart you all are. And I was just blown away by the content, your maturity, and it's incredible. Thank you very much. But before I move on, when I first came here, we dealt with a lot of bullying. No one in America knew, or in my environment knew where Burma was. There were a lot of refugees from Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam, China. There were a lot of fights. So, and my broken nose and a lot of different things. But it's different for everybody. Different for men, different for women, girls, boys. There were no cyberbullying during my time. But how do you fight through it? I don't know. It's different for everybody. But what I do know, you cannot not fight because it would just get worse. So it just reminded me of a story where, if you're underwater and you're thrown into a pool filled with sharks, and sharks circling around you, all that danger circling around you, you cannot panic and you cannot be scared. You just be composed, pull all your energy, and you have to punch the shark in the nose, and it will go away. So I don't know what the parallels are, but yeah, it's tough. There's no easy solution for that. Drugs. But I think everything boils down to your relationship with your family and your community. I think it's not just about the kids, but it's also the parents at home. If you're not available, and if you don't make time for your daughter, your son, and you're not being a parent, I assure you that the street will be their parents. If you don't teach them, the street will teach them. So it's really important that you spend time with your children, and it's really important that kids, children, high school have a place to go between 3 to 5 p.m. to go to a place, say such as this, a community center, where they can gather, congregate, learn, and be united, and not be on the street. Because 3 to 5 is a time where you can get into a lot of trouble and be influenced very negatively by a lot of different things. So, well, that was my little observation. For Future Superstars, how did it start? It started with belief in capitalism. What is capitalism? It's a good relationship with your community. It's a good relationship with your employees. Good relationship with your partners, vendors, and be profitable. A good profit and loss, because if you're profitable, you do business correctly, you're able to give back to the community. You're able to pay your employees well. So we established our Future Superstars. So Future Superstar is an organization that gives scholarship to financially challenged students, not necessarily based on grade point average, but we assume that students with 4.0 minority will have plenty of scholarships, but maybe students that are a bit marginal with 3.0, 3.5, they don't necessarily have students, but they have tremendous potential that are not realized. But teachers know that they have a tremendous amount of potential. Counselors knows that they have a tremendous amount of potential. So they give us referral letters, and we give a lot of priority to what teachers and counselors think about their future possibilities, and make a case for them. And those are the students that we give scholarship to. Well, thank you very much. I've never spoken at a Burmese event like this. It's very encouraging to see such a tremendous unity, a bunch of smart kids and a leader from with Burmese root. Thank you very much. And so it's really interesting. We operate Burma Superstar, Burma Love, Teakwood, Burma Food Group, products that are, I guess, are prevalent in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we, like I had said, I think being involved with the community is really important. So we are very involved with the community in the Bay Area. However, it's interesting that when we came here, I think some of the older folks will agree that Southeast Asian food, Burmese food, unheard of, made fun of. That's not necessarily the case anymore. I think that a lot of people are looking at premium very differently. People are looking at what premium is, ethnic, and well, those are business jargons and mumbo jumbos. But the short answer is that in the future, we will be expanding to the Los Angeles County, and we currently have, we'll have maybe in about 2-3 weeks, our products will be in Whole Foods and a lot of different areas within the Southern California. So I'm very hopeful that we can be here, and we will expand to the Los Angeles County and operate businesses here also. Currently, we probably have about 10 restaurants in the Bay Area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, it's a pleasure to see you, sir. I have a few questions about the scholarships that you mentioned, and I want to say that I really appreciate that you provide scholarships for the students with financial hardships. And well, my question is that when is the scholarship availability, and who would I contact for regarding the scholarship?
Hello at burmainc.com, burmainc.com, and just shoot an email. So I have an assistant who's responsible for answering, looking at all the emails, and I will see it, and I will respond to it personally.
I have one more question. Yes. How many scholarships are you planning to give away per year?
We do 7 a year.
7?
Right. So I think we did it also during the pandemic, and it was easy to not do it. But I think that, that we continue with the scholarship, we will continue to do it. But I think go kind, and we could talk a little bit further. And even if we're not doing business here in the Bay Area, we could discuss a little bit further about what we can do. So.
Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
And then last question, I know that you had mentioned when you first came to the United States, there was a lot of, not a lot of representation for Burma or Southeast Asian community there. Since then, I know I have a lot of friends in the NorCal Bay Area that know about Burmese food and know about Burma just because of your restaurants and how successful you've been. What has the community kind of changed like, if you can kind of comment from when you first started to now, and how your business has kind of impacted that in the Bay Area for us to kind of have an idea of how that's changed?
I think being a minority in the old days, and in the older days, and being a minority here now is very different. In the older days, I think or maybe your parents know that you have to fight through everything, and how you dress, how you speak or you don't speak, what you eat, who your friends are, and so on. You just have to fight through everything. And, those fights just kind of make you stronger. And when you go to a workplace, just to be treated equal, white collar places, you really have to work harder, and you have to be smarter, just so that you're treated equal. I guarantee you, even now, if you go head to head against, in a white collar world with Americans, working at the same level will put you at a lower level. You have to work harder and you have to work smarter to be treated equal. So if you keep doing that over and over and over again, at some point you're going to develop a lot of skills, a lot of confidence through your own different accomplishments, right? So I embrace challenges. I embrace difficulties, no problem. How do I overcome it? I have a young daughter, so I do what I can for her. I help her a lot, but I think that's maybe not the right approach. I think that if they can do it themselves, you should let them do it. I think us parents, we tend to be a little bit overprotective. We help them a little bit too much. So newer generation, I think we talk a lot about work-life balance. My generation, if you have no work, you have no life. So I don't know how to relate to the work-life balance. As far as I know, let's just say if you're happy without money, I could tell you you'll be a lot happier with money. So maybe I'm old-fashioned. I'm a lot about hard work, earning what you have, and work harder, and don't necessarily look for equality. Life is not fair. Things will not be equal. You just have to fight through it, and don't look for equality. That may be the wrong advice, but I like to fight through things. So in our company, DEI, well, that's all great, but can you do the job? You could be all the DEI you want. If you can't do the job, you can't be hired. So if you can do the job, if you have merit, you have good character, yeah, you could be whatever. You could be lesbian, gay, Asian, black, white, doesn't matter, you're hired. So I think people have the wrong attitude about, what makes them, successful or not. But the thing that would, success is, of course, again, dependent on everybody, right? New generation, old generation. I think, what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? There are only exchanges. You want success, you cannot expect equality, you cannot be lazy, you cannot not do extra. If you want success, do more. Sacrifice more. So, again, those are just my personal experience, and so I don't know if that relates to the new generation or not, but I know that works. So that sometimes old-fashioned values are never go out of fashion, right? So,
thank you so much. Those are all the questions we have for now.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having me here. And Maya, thank you for the big edit.
I'm Laura to provide a few words.
Really few words. Thank you all for coming today to make this event, and let's start there. So that's it. ပမာလည်းပြောလိုက်ဟိုဆူရှီနဲ့ဓမ္မပေါ့ခင်ဗျာအကောင်လုံးဟိုရွှေတောင်ဆိုတဲ့ restaurant မှာပါတယ်အကောင်လုံးတောင်းယူတာတော့ Desmond က food ပေါ်ပဲတူတောင်းနေတာပါကိုကြတဲ့ Thank you